Mega Wars.
This will do well over 100 miles an hour.
We've got terrifying teams.
What terrifying?
We've got manic machines and a race to end all races. Fasten your seatbelts, it's gonna be mega.
It works! It works!
Welcome to Junkyard Mega Wars, the biggest battle our humble little junkyard has ever seen. And here's how it works. We've summoned 3 rival super teams from Russia, the US, and Britain. They've just 2 10-hour days to build the wildest machines out of this pile of junk in a battle to become Junkyard Mega Champions of the world.
Our mega challenge is to build a multi-purpose hybrid machine, the mother of all vehicles.
It's got to be a salt-flat speedster and withstand the searing heat of this unforgiving desert. But it's also got to be a rock crawler to clamber over the giant boulders littering our course along the sides of this parched canyon. And crucially, it's got to be amphibious to tackle the treacherous, uncharted waters of this remote lake. It's our toughest challenge yet, so let's meet our 3 intrepid teams.
First up, from the good old US of A, are the rampaging Raptors. These guys are no stranger to battle, because they design fighter planes at Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works.
Ready to go.
My name is Barry McGarraugh. I'm the chief engineer for the F-22 program here at Palmdale. I've been flying since I was 14 years old. I just love to fly.
My name is Joe Ruggless. I'm into the adrenaline rush. So if I'm not feeling speed or some type of thrill, I'm not happy.
My name is Matt Swain. I work in the materials lab here in Palmdale. Steam locomotives are my primary fascination. I enjoy anything that has to do with steam and steam power and steam locomotives.
We've chosen Barry to be team captain. He knows something about everything. You know, we call him the professor, you know, Mr. Wizard.
We're the American Raptors!
Lending the Raptors ground support is daredevil rock crawler Jason Bunch. His mission is to boldly go over any boulder, large or small.
All the way from across the Atlantic, we've the Bulldogs, British Army engineers from the elite Rene Corps. Who says their bark is worse than their bite?
Come on!
I'm Mike Holliday, alias Doc.
Get up there!
I'm a Staff Sergeant Artificer in the British Army. I basically organise training for the junior tradesmen.
My name's Corporal Tim Sexton. I'm a vehicle mechanic. I can work on most engines. There's not many engines out there I've never worked on.
He'll probably be our first one to get off scavenging because he is the magpie.
I'm Sergeant Lee Downham. I am the workshop sergeant major. I deal with discipline and try to keep morale going as well.
He walks around and pokes people with his big stick and shouts at people. We're well bonded, we get on very, very well. As far as I know, they're quite happy with me being the captain.
We're the British Bulldogs!
Bolstering the Bulldogs in the dogfight is off-road rover Graham Mitchell. He usually tears up England's green and pleasant land, so the canyons of the United States should present no problem.
Finally, from far off Russia, we have the Russian Bears, a trio of monstrous mechanical maestros from Moscow. With their automotive know-how, they're guaranteed to make their enemies see red.
My name is Max. I'm a teacher in the university, and my specialty is transmission for military tanks.
My name is Женя. I am chief mechanic of this garage. Ну, Максим мой старший брат, двоюродный. Мы с ним знакомы, соответственно, с детства. Он меня первый приучил к машинам. Он подарил мне мою первую маленькую машинку.
My name is Volodya. I am test driver. Максима и Женю я знаю всю свою жизнь.
Володя. С Володей мы как бы жили в одном районе, учились даже в одной школе.
Втроем Мы занимались в свободное время сначала мотоциклами, после машинами.
Making sure the bears stay afloat is the Prince of Amphibians, Rene Pohl. He's from over the border in Germany, but his vehicles can go anywhere.
Let's do it!
Keeping the peace between these rival superpowers will need a great dollop of diplomacy. So we're joined by the host of the British version of Junkyard Wars, Robert Llewellyn.
Teams, your challenge is to build a hybrid, multi-purpose, off-road beast of a machine. It's a salt-flat speedster, but it's also a rambling rock crawler.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, and it has to be amphibious.
Sort it.
Okay, for this special occasion, we're being generous, and you'll have 20 hours to build your machines.
American Raptors, are you ready?
Yeah! British Bulldogs, are you ready?
Yeah! Russian Bears, Vigatore! Yeah! So the teams dash to their mega workshops. This time, of course, we have 3 of them.
All right, men, this is what we're going to build. We're going to go through a dry lake.
Okay.
And we're going to go through rocks, a rock pile, so we need to be able to climb over the rocks and get plenty of traction.
Okay.
We're going to need to make this thing float.
Matt, Joe, first thing we need to do is find a vehicle with a good running motor in it, a transmission, preferably a 4-wheel drive with a transfer case. Last but not least, see if you can find a propeller out there someplace. That's going to be real key in making this thing go through the water, okay?
On the other side of the fence, the British Bulldogs have a more tailored approach.
And what we'll do to make this vehicle lighter is cut a lot of it away.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay? And then down the sides, my idea is put pontoons down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
The British Bulldogs also need a 4-wheel drive, but want to weld on separate bits for each different race section. For the speed race, they want to use fast, thin tyres, but hope to run with an additional set of fat, grippy tyres to help them over the rocks. In the water, they'll clamp on 2 lines of streamlined barrels and add an outboard engine to create an amphibious catamaran. A jack-of-all-trades machine, but will it end up being monster of none?
Buoyancy? Buoyancy, you reckon?
Yeah,
about 16?
well, we want to displace about 3 tons.
Drums.
So about 16 drums.
And the outboard, if possible.
The outboard, because there might be like gold dust there.
Yeah.
On the Russian side of the wall, expert Rene is planning something revolutionary.
If we start from a boat, this is fine in water. Rocky section, this is a problem. So this we make it different. I call it 3-star system.
The Russian Bears plan to make a radical, super lightweight multi-wheeler based on a boat hull, some old motorbikes and a modest car engine. If it works, their complex but cunning tri-star system of 6 chain-driven motorbike wheels will make them king of the hill on the rocks. And the boaty bit means they'll be ship-shape on the water. But with a weeny engine, they may be a bit slow in the speed race.
Что думаете по поводу этой конструкции?
Такая идея всех побьет. Тогда вперед, ребята, за работу. Let's go!
And they're off. There's going to be intercontinental combat for the meatiest parts the yard can offer.
Go! Go!
You know, I really think we've gone too far this time.
We could be looking at World War III, I think.
So let me get this straight. We're building boats that climb over rocks, right? That's the idea?
Well, a sort of rock climbing, sort of high-speed, salt-flatty thing, I think.
It's like roadsters that are like salt and pepper shakers.
You know, the really scary thing is it is all of that.
The British Bulldogs are first to get their paws on their victim. Scavenger Tim reckons this junked outboard will make a powerboat of their design.
Oh, excellent. Fantastic.
And expert Graham can't wait to get his hands on it.
Oh, you better get the gloves.
Crank this up.
The American Raptors are true sons of Uncle Sam and consider this huge old Ford truck worthy of their heavy-duty powerhouse of a design.
Jackpot!
The scavenging bear pair, Evgueni and Vladimir, are happily hoarding motorcycle wheels. Back at the lair, even Captain Max and expert Rene don't sound all that convinced by their tri-star design.
You think it works?
Yeah, it works. Yeah, it will work.
Just playing a little bit of junkyard music while the teams are sussing out their designs. We'll see how they're doing when Junkyard Mega Wars continues.
Welcome back to Junkyard Mega Wars, where our teams are locked in an international tussle to build all-terrain, sand-skipping, rock-crawling, water-skimming mechanical monsters. At stake is world domination. In green are the Bulldogs from Britain, pitted against the Russian Bears in red and the American Raptors in blue. This is serious. No wonder they look worried.
American Raptor scavengers Joe and Matt are keen on this V6 Ford to power their heavy-duty design, but their discerning expert Jason is already grumbling.
I think it has some damaged parts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Barry, sorry to interrupt, but this is a freaking mess in front of me. I don't know what any of this stuff means, so can you just break down your design? Tell me what you guys are actually trying to build here.
We're trying to build an amphibious four-wheel drive.
Land vehicles don't usually lend themselves to life on water. That's because for an object to float, it must weigh less than the water it displaces. The Raptor's V6 Ford weighs a good deal more and will sink. So the team have to find a way of making their vehicle buoyant and plan to bolt on a huge dumpster because it'll displace a lot of water but will be relatively light.
As far as it goes, though, what's the most important thing you're worried about? Is it the flotation? Is it the rocks? Is it the salt flats? What would be the most important thing?
Right now, I'm not worried about the rocks, and I'm not worried about the salt flats.
Yeah.
I'm worried about water.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the biggest concern when you're talking about water?
Sinking.
Keeping the water obviously,
out.
but
Sinking.
keeping water outside of it.
Yes.
The engine casing is.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay. So Barry, you're the team captain. Are you confident with the design? Do you think it's going to work?
I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's pretty simple, trying to make this thing go over the rocks, then make it go across the lake. I think if you can do both of those things, I think you're going to be standing on the winner's podium.
Okay, I salute you, gentlemen. Red, white, and blue.
All right.
Go get them.
In the yard, their scavengers, Joe and Matt, have honed in on alternative prey.
The Chevys are going to start.
This Chevy is loaded with a powerful V8 engine, is four-wheel drive and has chunky tyres. It's just plain bigger and better than the Ford they already scavenged.
If we use the Ford rear end, we got a lot of effort to take the axles out, pull the pumpkin out, weld the spiders up, and put it back together. If we use the Chevy rear end, we just pull the back cover and get in there and weld, and it's done.
So it's out with the diminutive Ford and in with the gut-busting V8 Chevy.
Looks like a winner.
That's American chest banging for you.
In the yard, British Bulldog super scavenger Lee is searching for a four-wheel drive for their jack-of-all-trades machine.
We've now found a Land Rover now that we can use for the chassis. No engine transmission in it, but it's a good chassis, short wheelbase over. Hands on.
A Land Rover might be the best of British, but this one is missing an engine.
That's it.
Still, no task is too tough for Tim.
Tell me about your plan. Tell me about your international domination master plan.
Right, to take over the world. We're going to go for basically a 4x4 base.
Right.
With an outboard on the back.
Yeah.
Flotation will come from the drums. We're going to weld the drums together and have two pontoons.
The British Bulldogs are sticking to what they know and love, a British Land Rover. But it has no engine and no gearbox, so there'll be a mammoth scavenging task ahead. Also yet to find are bigger tyres to give them ground clearance and grip over the rocks. And for added buoyancy, they're planning to forge enough empty barrels to float the Titanic.
They're very noisy. Your classmates.
There is the baby. There is the Land Rover.
You're going to put big wheels on?
Not huge, just slightly oversized. We're going to look for some bigger wheels than those, so slightly bigger than those. It will give us ground clearance, but it'll also take away... Who's upset Tim? Someone's upset Tim, I think.
He's happy. I think he's enjoying himself. Excellent. All right, well, I'll let you get on with your demolition derby. See you later.
Cathy.
While expert Graham takes over the role of destroyer, unstoppable scavenger Tim is digging out an engine for the Land Rover and uncovers more than he bargained for.
We've got a Cherokee Jeep up here. The engine, gearbox, everything in it.
Everything, we're talking transfer box a lot.
Yeah, it's all there. It's just an automatic gearbox. That's the only problem. Yeah, we'll have to go with that, won't we?
Right, you go with that.
Yeah.
Bring on in the Cherokee. I spoke to Graham, and we can definitely run with an automatic, so bring her in.
Right, we're having it. It's ours.
Tim loves the Cherokee's V6 motor, probably because he doesn't know the American Raptors have something bigger. But there's national pride at stake here. Taking an American-made vehicle instead of a British one?
I reckon we should use it.
Ready?
Keep going.
So it's out with the beloved Land Rover and time for Hammer Mad Tim to get some stress relief, junkyard style.
Don't need that no more.
So far, the US Raptors and the British Bulldogs have dug up some great stuff. But in Russia, it's chaos. The Bears are sniffing around the scraps their rival teams have long abandoned. Still, expert Rene shows them who's boss.
Quick decision. We take it.
Neither the Raptors nor the Bulldogs would touch this 2-litre Toyota engine. It's just too small. But the Bears are used to using other folks' reject junk, and they're hoping it'll have enough grunt for their lighter weight design, if they can get it back in one piece.
So, Rene, can you explain to me what's going on? There's a very peculiar drawing here that I'm not really fully, you know, I'm trying to get a handle on it.
Yeah, well, it looks a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if we hit a big rock, an obstacle, which you cannot drive over just with the usual wheel, that the whole device will flip over the rock.
Each of the two TriStars, as expert Rene calls them, is made up of 3 motorbike wheels and 3 chains, connected via a drive sprocket to the engine. On the rocks, when the first wheel gets stuck, the second simply flips over, followed by the third, dragging the rest of the vehicle behind it.
So it's a 6-wheel drive at the back?
No,
but
actually,
only two on the ground.
Only 2 are
so it's
on the ground.
Drive, right.
It's 4-wheel drive and a 5-wheel car,
Yes.
so it's a 5x4. That makes it very unique, I think.
I think the Americans are kind of playing to type, aren't they? It's big.
It's
that
big.
Thing they
They've gone
pulled.
big.
It's big, it's noisy, it's going to be loud, and it's going to be powerful. What really concerns them is the water portion and just keeping the thing buoyant and not
See, that's
having water
interesting
drain.
because I asked the Brits what their preferred leg of the race was, and they said that they definitely felt they have the upper hand if their outboard motor runs.
Right, they think the
on
water's
the water,
there. Oh,
yeah.
really? That's interesting, because Rene wouldn't commit to any of them. We will approach each individual space as it comes, and we will overcome it.
Jerry, can you help pick this up?
Plundering on, the overweight American Raptors are ripping and tearing at their heavy Chevy.
Yeah, baby.
Just let it drop.
That'll lighten the load, but it still might not be enough to avoid a Titanic-style blunder on the water.
Incoming!
British Bulldog's Tim is rolling out the barrel. This king of scavengers has no intention of dipping his nose in the water.
Going to be welding for England, literally.
In command of transforming the rusty barrels into sleek floating pontoons, Sergeant Lee's only just realised the size of his task.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Tony.
Time to turn to our Mega Wars judge and all-round international arbitrator, Tony Shaw. Tony was part of the design team for the Humvee, the king of all off-road vehicles. So what he doesn't know about off-road design just ain't worth knowing.
What are the crucial things you're looking for in each stage? So for the speed race first, the sand speed race.
But I think you just want the horsepower and the rate ratios in your transmission and the right axles in the rear, and just to go as fast as you can.
So
the
maximum power.
Yeah, the speed is the easiest one, I think, out of all of them to do.
Okay, so then the rock crawling, which is the next stage.
If you were designing a vehicle only for rock crawling, you'd want something with some high ground clearance.
Right.
And of course, you want the wheelbase as close together as you can, so you don't what we call high-centered. If your wheels are very far apart, like a school bus,
Yeah.
you're going to go over one and just bloop, and your truck will just sit there and teeter-totter.
Right. And then just when they figured that out, we throw in ingredient number 3, which is the water hazard.
Which my first concern is, will they float? Then after that, you say, okay, that's floating is the bare minimum. We need to rise the vehicle up out of the water so you have less resistance or drag. So
it's a lot.
It's quite complicated, yes.
A lot to think
This is very
about.
fascinating what they're doing.
Teams, you have 15 hours remaining. 15 hours construction time remaining, teams. Thank you.
Well, that means a whole load of nothing to one of our teams, Robert.
У вас осталось 15 часов.
Halfway through day one, and the Russian Bears are getting into the swing of things. Once a high-speed road bike, now the front end of a Russian Bear's boat crawler. No teddy bear picnic for the Russians. They'll be in real trouble if they don't find a boat.
Well, so far our teams don't really know whether they're building a floaty hopper, a crawling racer, or a speedy sinker. But we're going to find out when Junkyard Mega Wars continues.
Welcome back to Junkyard Mega Wars and the ultimate Tri-Nation all-terrain trashathon. Day one of our two-day marathon build, and the scavenging Russian bear pair, Evgueni and Vladimir, are getting desperate to find a boat hull for their bike-boat combo.
Володь, да? Желаешь программку смотреть? Нет. Владимир!
At last, the perfect hull to banish those boating blues.
С улыбочкой! That's the trouble with those Russians. They're always so reserved.
Looks like the bears are living in a world of their own. It's 115 degrees, and over the border, the rather relaxed British Bulldogs are dressing up like nuns.
God, Brit. You look cool, man.
Ready?
Fashion parade over, it's time to go overboard on that outboard for the amphibious leg of the challenge. A moment of triumph for the Bulldogs. Knowing they're fully powered up for the water challenge gives them a massive psychological advantage, not to mention the oomph they'll need to dominate on the water.
Bro!
It's a rude reminder for Raptors Matt and Barry, who still have to solve their water problem. They've not found the dumpster they wanted, so they're going to have to settle for what little they can sink their claws into.
That's a flotation device.
Yeah. Surf's up, dude. What we got? Whatever their buoyancy, the Raptors are going to need to be perfectly balanced.
Barry, we need to find the center of gravity, so we'll put this jack over here, jack stand, and jack up that corner.
The Raptors vehicle is very heavy at the front because of its beast of a V8 engine. So they need to find their vehicle's centre of gravity and put proportionally more buoyancy in front of it to counterbalance the great weight of the engine. Or they'll risk taking a nosedive to the bottom of the lake. For Raptors expert Jason and Captain Barry, everything hangs in the balance.
Still flexy, so that's good.
But for Joe and Matt, it's just another day in the office. Do you actually all work together on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, we do.
For the most part, yeah.
Right.
Most of the things that we do are mostly design work and the mental type of work, and so that strain is here.
Because what's a typical day at work for you?
Well, actually, I end up doing quite a bit of scrounging. We make up all kinds of strange prototype machines. So I've earned the nickname of Vulture. I'm all the time out in the yard scrounging up things, you know.
Vulture Raptor.
Yes,
it's got a certain ring.
Right. I guess people probably think I'm a bird brain now.
You said it.
Teams, you have 14 hours remaining. 14 hours construction time remaining, teams. Thank you.
We need to have a chat about these wheels. We've got to stop and we've got to talk about these wheels.
Inside the British Bulldogs kennel, there's a crisis brewing. The team have only just noticed their current wheels may leave them in pieces on the rocks.
I've got serious concerns about the size of the wheels. I can't get it out of my mind. I've seen the photographs of those rocks. There's no way those Land Rover tyres on a long wheelbase are going to cover it.
I've been thinking
in my
the same,
opinion.
But I don't know at the moment
how we can get over it.
I know.
Biggest problem we've got is
the steering.
If we put too big of wheels on, we lose the steering arm.
Yeah.
The Bulldogs' original concept was to run with firm, skinny tyres for the speed race and a different set of much larger, softer tyres for the rock crawl, because the larger the tyre, the bigger the obstacle that can be driven over. But Lee has realised the Land Rover tyres they've found aren't nearly large enough to give them an advantage. The trouble is, if the Bulldogs scavenge enormous tyres for their vehicle, they risk not being able to steer properly. It's a stark choice. Do they go larger and lose steering, or do they retain their steering but risk bombing out at the first boulder?
What about if we make a couple of ramps?
Brilliant idea.
And if we just assuming we're stuck in front of a rock and we just can't get up it because of the size, we ramp it.
Yeah, that's superb, that is.
Like that.
Good idea.
Get on and make 'em, boy.
Yeah.
Professional rock crawlers would laugh at the idea of using ramps. Tooled up with high-tech suspension, wheels with a mind of their own and brakes that steer, these vehicles are the business. Time to check them out from the inside and meet the world's only women's team driver Cathy Crook and her spotter Rene.
For the different roles, what's the attraction for each?
I get to tell her what to do.
So bossy people are spotters?
That's right, that's right. Okay, you got it right there.
What are you actually looking for in the terrain?
Watching underneath the vehicle to make sure that we don't get anything hooked up on the rocks that are under it directly. The trick to it is just to be on top of the biggest rocks.
So tell me about the controls that you have when you're actually in there driving. What are you doing?
Well, we have the four-wheel drive, of course, and then we have switches that lock in the front axles and the rear axles.
So you can steer and drive both axles independently?
Yeah, I can use all or just two or one.
So we're going to go for a little drive in this?
You bet. Let's go.
So wrong to be vertical that way.
There you go. To me. Bring your wheels all the way to the passenger. Easy down. Driver. 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 Stop. Stop. You got it. You got it. Give it some gas. Let it grab. There you go. You got it. There you go. You're out.
You rock.
Uva Ostalis Devinitsa Shazov. Teams, you have 12 hours. 12 hours.
2 hours left on day one, and the Russian Bears have spied the perfect axle for their TriStar design. Only trouble is, it's in an enemy camp. Time to call an international summit.
Very well, guys. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Good to
nice.
see you. Max.
Yeah. So what we need? We need the front axle of this stuff.
You need the front axle?
Yeah.
Do you really, really want it?
Really.
Yeah. Right, on your knee.
Then it's yours. Only one condition.
You take the axle, you take the wreck.
Get rid of it all.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Deal. That's a deal.
Who says diplomacy was dead? It's a milestone in international junkyard relations.
Looks like this cooperation thing is contagious. Here's Raptor Jason.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
I wonder if you would be willing to trade a metric tape measure for an American one.
It's not as long as yours.
Well,
you can manage. This
I
is
can
in
manage.
both.
What
This
is
is
it?
in both. Can you understand both?
Barely.
Let's pull it first. Ideal.
All right, thank you. Good luck. See you guys later.
Cheers.
I'm very confused about measurements, I gotta say. The Americans seem to be an imperial, the Brits are kind of in a bit of a mixture. The Russians, I don't even know.
It's hard to tell. Yes, cubits. Yeah, I saw one of them measuring with his thumb, which is fine as long as you keep using the same thumb. Max's thumb is much bigger than Rene's thumb.
So you have to carry your team member around.
The Russian Bears have progressed from using thumbs, but their tape measure is not giving Rene good news. He needs 6 matching motorcycle wheels for their wacky rear end. They don't have enough and may have to use the scavenged axle as it is.
If we are running short of time,
Yeah, I understand.
we forget the TriStar system and just put ordinary wheels on it.
Okay.
We lose maybe some advantage on the rocky section, but anyway, we need something to run at the end.
Okay.
The Russians, I mean, we're seeing an extraordinary beast starting to grow over here. It's certainly going to be an extremely bizarre sight seeing that boat go over a load of rocks.
And we're still not sure whether they're going to have the TriStar design on the end, or they may be just abandon that and just go to something more sane. We just have one wheel on each side. You know? I mean, given enough time, I think it would be a superb design, but I think it's maybe a little bit complex.
So you think that could be trimmed back a bit?
I think so.
It'll basically just be 2 wheels like a normal person would have.
Like the normal, for your normal boat with the motorcycle end going down the road.
Anyway, moving on to the British team.
Okay.
Slightly more sane over here.
Slightly more, but I'm a little bit disappointed. I think they're starting to wimp out a little bit. They originally were going to have 2 sets of tires.
Yeah.
And I think they've gone away from that. So the ground clearance is very low, and now they're taking the what I consider a radical approach to bring ramps with them.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's going to cause a problem for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to the Americans on home turf.
Yeah. Earlier they were fooling around to get the center of gravity, lifting up with the jacks.
I know, that was all very impressive,
yeah.
actually.
It tells them where to put the ballast properly, so that hopefully when it goes into the water it won't sink. The biggest challenge is just going to be the float. Anything above that I think is going to be gravy. So.
A sentiment shared by nosy Bulldog Lee.
You'd be pushing it to float it. Seriously. The thing is, I'm wasting time now to build an anchor so we can stop to pick you lot up.
Are we ready?
Lights, camera, action.
It's intimidation time, gents.
Easy, killer.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
We're done. It's a big noise. Noise doesn't mean power. Nah, it's a blancmange. It's not going to float.
It's a submarine!
Looks like the noise hasn't impressed the neighbours.
У вас осталось 11 часов. Teams, you have 11 hours remaining. 11 hours construction time remaining, teams. Thank you.
British Bulldogs.
Just 1 hour of day 1 to go, and time for our teams to position one of the 2 safety seats we'll be giving driver and co-driver for the race.
Right there. Joe, use it with care, okay?
Okay, I will.
Stool.
Stool.
Super. Umos ostales polchasa. Teams, you have 30 minutes left of work for today.
30 minutes, and that's the end of the first day.
The teams are getting a mega move on. The Bulldogs are welding for Britain. The American Raptors forge on with the all-important roll cage. And the Russian Bears race to size up their engine.
So, that all-important dollar, end of day 1, where's it going?
It has to lean on the Americans.
Really?
Yes.
Lean on them or actually be given to them?
25 cents on them, not even the whole dollar.
It's been a grueling 10 hours, and normally it would be all over for our junkyard teams, but this is mega.
Teams, your time is up. Please down your tools. For tomorrow, you can do a whole load more work. Thank you.
One day over, one day to go.
Time for the showers.
So, halfway through, and the American Raptors have already junked the floating dumpster idea in favor of boxy barrels. Tomorrow, they must hunt down a propeller, or their V8 monster will be going nowhere in the wet.
The British Bulldogs have transformed a junked-out Jeep into a sleek convertible with a huge long barrel for buoyancy. But without rock-worthy wheels, it could be boulders and bust.
The Russian Bears' revolutionary boat crawler, based mainly on the other team's leftover parts, is gradually taking shape, but they've got a long way to go. Will 10 more hours see a triad of finished machines? Find out after the break.
Welcome back to our Tri-Nation Mega Marathon. It's the start of day 2. Yesterday, our US, British and Russian teams spent a frantic 10 hours struggling to build their 3-in-1 off-road amphibious machines. And they only have another 10 hours of mega manufacture till they face a land speed-style desert race across shimmering salt flats, a complex endurance course littered with giant rocks, and the splash and dash of our challenging water run.
So the Russian Bears return for Mega Round 2. They need a serious schedule if they're going to finish their complex design in 10 hours.
Лодочка, водочка. Хочу выработать план дня, чтобы нам с вами действовать по схеме, не зависеть друг от друга и начинать работать.
Okay, we have to get in the frame, get the engine inside, connect it with the axle, and there we go.
So, Captain Max starts by tackling the sprocket and chain-based drivetrain with his eyes shut. What's this? A saboteur in the den? You can't drill a hole in the boat?
Russian bears have to make a hole in their boat so the bike-based drive chain can connect the engine to the wheels. Overnight, they've decided to abandon the revolutionary multi-motorbike wheel rear end and simply use the old pair of wheels which came with their Land Rover axle. The tricky bit will be sealing the hole back up while still allowing the drive chain to turn. One little leak and their boat will be more like a submarine. So this time, using protection, Max neatly welds up their scavenged motorbike chain and feeds it through their newly made boat hole. Perfect. You wouldn't want that breaking on race day.
Why do you think, why is this design going to be the one that actually wins the day?
It's light, it's very original and sophisticated.
You don't get points for that, though,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, and we're a very nice team. Yeah,
you're playing to our sympathies.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, it's looking good. I'll let you get on.
Okay. Thank you.
Goodbye in Russian. I can't remember what it is. See you later.
Okay, see you later.
Over to Camp America, and the Raptors are wondering whether their V8-powered mini monster truck is going to float.
You know, we got to get these barrels squared away as quickly as possible. We got to work on our propeller.
In desperation, Jason's dug out this cooling fan from a junked-out truck, but he's an expert on rock crawling. Water experience? None.
This thing, I can handle.
Yeah, no, this is my job. You go handle the engine.
Hey.
The American Raptors are far from united on how to deal with their unconventional propeller. A nice propeller has a lovely curved area facing forwards and a lovely flat one facing backwards. The flow of water over these two different surfaces produces suction, which simply pulls it through the water. The Raptors' self-styled propeller fan is very unlikely to do anything but whisk the water into a frothy frenzy while going nowhere.
What is this from, though? I mean, this is a... It looks like it's a huge industrial fan. It was an air fan originally.
Well, actually, I think it was part of the Russian space station.
Oh, that could be.
Came to Earth here a little while ago.
Pieces of that are falling every day all over the country. So I see a lot of these blue containers over here. Now, what exactly are these, and how are these going to factor into the whole thing?
Well, they're just extra barrels. They happen to be square, which is nice. We'll have poles that'll slide in across the vehicle.
Okay.
We'll have two beams apiece, and they'll come across, and they'll pick up each one of these barrels.
Right. And that's obviously, you've done the math. You think
well, we figure we may need that additional buoyancy when it comes to rescuing the Brits and the Russians.
That's just Yankee Doodle. The British Bulldogs convertible Jeep has barrels of buoyancy, but that outboard is proving tricky to handle.
You're the wrong way round, mate. That's it. There you go. There you go.
If we don't win the water phase after all this, I'll be absolutely gutted.
And quite rightly so. The British Armed Forces have a history of amphibious success. D-Day 1944, and 2,000 amphibious vehicles known as ducks landed thousands of troops and supplies for the Allied invasion of France. Today, some of the surviving few have been lovingly restored. This one by duck fanatic Dave McDonald, who's always messing about on the river.
Very, very nice ride. I love it. It's so smooth into the water as well. That's a lovely way of entering the water. It's very good. And what sort of speed will it do then when it's going just on still water? I mean, how fast can it go?
6 miles an hour. That's what it was supposed to do.
And what about on the road? When it's on the road, what will it do then?
It will do comfortably 45.
Right.
Veteran Ron Smith served with the Royal Army Service Corps at the time of the Normandy landings. It'll be an emotional reunion.
So, Ron, it's been a few years since you've been in one of these, I would imagine.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
What's it like? How does it feel to get back in one?
I feel like crying.
Do you? Yeah. Well, you ought to have a go, don't you think? I think you should have a go.
I'll go faster than this, though.
Oh, let's go a bit faster than this. Yeah.
Come on, have a go.
You have to swap over.
You get out of your way.
Mind that island, though.
Yeah.
In wartime, Ron was more used to battling through ocean waves than quietly upstream.
Now this is wading about a bit too much for me. You'll get the hang of it.
Yeah, you're getting it there. No,
it's all right when it gets on the land.
Yeah.
We're ramming. I never realised the steering was so light.
You reckon there was more pressure at sea? It was harder to steer it?
You had the waves, didn't you, in the sea?
Quite interesting.
Back at British HQ, the Bulldogs are on target for the water, but not for the rocks. They don't have enough ground clearance and run the risk of seriously damaging their vital underparts. So, Commander-in-Chief Doc is converting a junked-out barrel into the perfect undercarriage protection.
Do you want me to hold it on, weld it? What well, I think that is... Keep there, keep there. And again, keep there. Keep there. Keep there, keep there, keep there, keep there.
That's like say, don't move your head when Hannibal lectures.
Tension has been mounting in the land of the free, with hot-headed expert Jason taking his authority a little seriously.
Come back to that. Sure. We got to get the floats. I don't know what's going on here, but it's taking too long. I need these pipes.
Yeah.
If you guys keep slowing me down...
What? It's very hot.
It's hot. It's hard work.
1.5 days of work.
I think the pressure's beginning to tell, isn't it?
You got an idea what you got on the front. I think it's taking too long.
Yeah, I know you do.
I think that structure...
because you don't understand what I'm doing.
I understand what you're doing, but I think it's taking way too long.
Every time I got a plan, you come along and you change it.
If I say, hey, we got to do it this way, let's just do it that way because we're out of time.
Okay, well, you know, but this is not a monarchy, though.
I know that. I agree.
And we're relying on you to get us over those rocks. We'll get us going fast, and we'll get us over the water. Yep. Let's get us over those rocks. Okay.
So a few ruffled raptor feathers.
Uvo Sostelos Shest Shezov. Teams, you have 6 hours remaining. That is 6 hours.
Man. We've got so much to do on those pontoons.
Spying Russian bear Max couldn't agree more.
You know, what they built, it calls only monster. Monster, nothing more.
Monster of Loch Ness. Deep down, dive down. That was never seen. Never seen again.
Okay, yeah.
Back with Bulldog HQ, the British Army boys are trying to start their engine.
What's going on over here?
He's just carrying out a very fine adjustment of the ignition switch.
A little insight into the British Army there.
We've got one of everything, mate. It's like a packet of opal fruits down here.
I reckon you got 5 minutes, Tim, before we sack you.
Yeah, I think give you 5 minutes and then...
You might have to step down, Tim.
I think it's the
You might have
sack.
to get out, mate. No, I'm not.
No.
With less than 4 hours to go, it's dangerously late in the day to discover your engine may not be a runner.
They're not the only team in trouble. The Russian bears are struggling to make their delicate front end rock resistant. I don't even think they know how. And the American Raptors will never make it over the water unless they get cracking with those detachable barrels. Raptors, Bears, or Bulldogs? Who's your money on? Place your bets and join us after the break.
Welcome back to our tasty little morsel of megarific multinational mayhem.
Let's try again.
With only 3 hours to go, there's panic in the pack as the British Bulldogs engine is still a non-starter.
We're not getting a spark, are we? We're not getting a spark. There's no buff.
Oops, wait.
The Russian Bear's 2-litre Toyota engine is still up in the air.
Yep.
As they lower it into the boat, positioning is critical. Their drive chain must be linked up exactly in line, or it'll all go wibbly-wobbly wrong for the test. Still, if all else fails, they can always rely on their imagination.
The sun is not shining on American Raptors expert Jason, who has just uncovered an unfortunate problem with his rear end. The differential is dogging.
You guys find a rear end in an hour?
In your dreams.
It has to be a quick fix, but now he's got to replace the oil or it won't work at all. It's time to show his Raptors why he's called the expert.
I'm just pouring the oil in a plastic bag, and we're just going to pop it on there real quick.
Huh, that's pretty cool. Then the bag just stays in there and
gets
just
itself
chewed up and
doesn't
bother the differential particularly for a little short period of time.
Not for this deal.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
The bag will be torn into little bits without causing any problems for the gears.
Which vehicle do you think has the greatest chance of actually staying together through all three stages?
Boy, that's a good question. I think the American, just because of sheer weight. I think from a reliability standpoint, I think that vehicle will hold up fairly well.
If you were awarding points for just sheer ingenuity, where would it go?
Oh, unquestionably with the Russians. My God, that is absolutely innovative. It's just breathtaking to see something like that. Who could possibly think of combining a truck, a boat, and a motorcycle? It's very inspiring to see something like that.
You've never seen a machine anything like that?
And if you put me in a room for 10 years, I couldn't think of it either. You know, I could never come up with something like that.
Actually, amphibious vehicles are one of the wilder engineering ideas around. Vehicles just as at home in the water as they are on land. This one, named Half Safe because that's all it was, swam around the world in the 1950s. The golden age of waterproof wackiness was the 60s with these positively swinging amphicars. Today, most amphibians are extinct due to the rust bucket phenomenon, but there are still a few plucky eccentrics for whom amphibious cars are the only way to get ahead.
Hoeveel осталось 2 часа?
Yeah, teams, you got 2 hours. 2 hours left to build.
Bulldog Tim's still trying to get their troublesome engines started.
If you put the starter on, and then pull the starter off and keep that LT on there, she'll run. There we go.
What a relief for Tim. And doesn't time fly when you're having fun?
У вас осталось 1 час. Teams, you have 1 hour. 1 hour of construction time left.
An hour. Hey, we're coming down the home stretch.
Time for team medals. Yeah.
The Russian Bear's wobbly three-wheeler desperately needs a roll cage. This is how they make him in Russia, comrade. Now Raptors Jason and Barry are racing to make sure their barrels are watertight.
Tape fixes everything.
Leaky barrels will make the difference between sink or swim.
I think you got way too much flotation.
After struggling with one troublesome engine, Bulldogs Tim and Doc are praying their outboard is still working.
Beast!
Yes!
Well done.
We are sweet.
We got 2 motors and a brilliant Jeep.
Sweet as.
Yeah. I gotta be honest with you, when you look at the American design, the British design, and the Russian design is actually what you would expect to find in Russia. You know, it's kind of like crazy. You know?
Actually, they have all ended up pretty much what you'd expect.
Yeah, exactly.
Thuggish and big for the Americans. Finely tuned, but then hit with a big hammer for the Brits.
The hammer work on there.
Completely incomprehensible for the Russians.
Incomprehensible. Only incomprehensible to Westerners. Yeah. You know, any Russian would see them. They're very good, very sensible.
What are they doing?
What are they doing? I don't have to understand.
This is crazy.
With almost 20 hours of build time gone, it's only in the last few minutes that the vehicles start to come together.
Don't get too comfortable and all that.
What do you think? You've seen 2 days of manic building.
I just can't believe, I don't know how you pick out these team members, but they're ingenious. They're absolutely incredible. They can look at something and they just do it. They don't have to study it for days or weeks like engineers like myself have to do. Just absolutely fantastic, just fascinating. I learned a ton by watching these fellas.
So overall, I got to ask you, and there's a lot riding on this.
Yeah.
There's that whole quarter.
Yeah.
Where's it going?
I would have to give the little bit of the edge to the Americans.
Oh.
Just but it's only very, very small.
Is it gone down from a quarter? Are we onto a dime?
You probably hit the timer.
Russian Bears, у вас осталось 5 минут.
Ребят, давайте быстрее работаем, скорее. У нас не успеваем, быстренько.
American Raptors, you have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Please, Bulldogs, you got 4 minutes, right? 4 minutes.
Just minutes to go, and the American Raptors are getting all stylish and house proud.
Oh, to raise it up. Yeah, I think.
The British Bulldogs strap those barrels firmly in place and give them the traditional wobble test.
Hey.
And the Russian Bears at last decide to test their engine.
Let's go!
Russian Bears, vreme končilo, spokojni noci.
American Raptors, put your tools down and step away from the vehicle.
British Bulldogs, terribly good show, but I'm afraid that's the end.
So, who will be the Mega Wars champions of the world? Will it be the American Raptors with their huge V8-powered mini monster truck built to fly through the desert and bounce over boulders? Or will their heavy Chevy be too much for their bodged-up buoyancy and take them for a dive on the water?
Will it be the Bulldogs with their ship-shape outboard-powered amphibious catamaran bodge the British way? Or will their weenie wheels boom out at the first boulder and dash their hopes of victory on the rocks?
Or will the Russian Bears beat them all with their totally wacky, super lightweight three-wheeler? A bizarre combination of a boat hull, some old motorbikes, and a relatively small car engine. Join us after the break for the megatastic mayhem of our desert speed race.
Water. Water. Gotta find some water. Water.
Welcome back to Mega Wars. It's almost time to put our machines to the test. For the speed challenge, our brave teams will have to withstand the searing heat of our 3-mile course on these shimmering salt flats. Then they'll have to convert their vehicles into rock crawlers to clamber over the giant boulders littering our track on this parched canyon floor. And finally, they'll have to make sure their vehicles are amphibious when they tackle the mile-long lap on the dark, deep waters of this remote lake.
It's the evening before the race, and we've allowed our rival teams from the US, Britain and Russia 1 hour to make final adjustments to their racing machines. First under scrutiny, the British Bulldogs.
So who's driving tomorrow? I'm going to be driving. You're driving, are you? Yeah. Excellent. And what are the tactics then for the race tomorrow?
Flat out.
Actually, not too subtle, just flat out.
No, just flat out. There's only one setting on that carburetor, and that's flat out.
Is it?
Yeah.
In the Bears' lair, Vladimir is dreaming of driving. But first, Rene and Max have to sort their saggy chain.
So the next problem is the chain is now too loose.
Is that your biggest worry then, the chain actually just coming off?
Yeah, because we have assembled this from different drivetrain, from Range Rover and Toyota, and we need to align
It's a multinational vehicle, isn't it?
Multinational, yeah. But this connection, for those both two nations, is very important.
Well, best of luck. Can't wait to see it in action.
Thank you, Cathy.
While all around them is activity, the American Raptors seem to be enjoying the scenery.
There's a considerable amount of work being done over with the Russian Bears and the British Bulldogs. You guys are noticeably quiet.
We've just did some math here, and this will do well over 100 miles an hour. So we're just figuring out what we want to run to take care of the motor and not abuse it.
Is there anything that you guys have to do at this point at all to get this vehicle salt flat ready?
We're going to check the tire pressure, we're going to pump up anything that's low, and we're going to be ready to go.
Let's do it.
Confidence all round, but what does our judge Tony Shaw think of their vehicles?
Specimen A.
Here it is.
The American Raptors beast.
Yes.
What are the good points and the not so good points of this machine?
Boy, I think the good points is they have a big engine in here, a lot of horsepower. They have good ground clearance, big tires. I think this thing's just going to fly down the desert just as fast as it can go. I think this is actually the optimum machine for this, what we want to do here.
So coming on to the slightly more diminutive machine,
okay.
the British Bulldogs, how are we feeling about this machine for the salt flats?
Oh, I think they've done a great job on this. They've picked a good solid chassis, a good size engine, a little smaller than the Americans, but you still have a 6-cylinder. Give them adequate horsepower. It'll give the Americans a good run for their money.
Excellent. So, the true hybrid machine.
Boy, it sure is. This is absolutely incredible. They have done an outstanding job. as far as innovativeness and creativity.
So how do we think this is going to fare on the salt flats?
I think we'll be a little bit surprised. I think this will do well. If the front wheel doesn't dig in, I think it could just fly. I'm certainly wishing them luck because this is absolutely ingenious here, and I want them just to fly down and, give everybody a run for their money. And,
I think everyone's rooting for the sheer outlandishness here.
Sure am.
With the allocated tinkering time over, our teams face a nervous night. Tomorrow at dawn, they race.
Stage 1 of the Mega Triathlon at the Salt Flats, and the course is set. All 3 teams will go head-to-head around our 3-mile triangular course. There are the long straights for gathering spectacular speed, but a few tricky corners to test that high-velocity steering. The team who crosses the line first will score the maximum 3 points, but there's something for everyone who finishes alive.
It's the moment our teams have been waiting for. Driver and co-driver psych themselves up. Will their engines start? Will their vehicles hold together? Only the race will tell.
Okay, we're ready.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
There you go. The British Bulldogs are flying with the Russian Bears not far behind. But the Americans are in trouble already.
There's something wrong with the Americans' machine. The Americans are actually at last position at this point.
We're going to take it!
Look at the Russians go!
Oh my God!
Who would have thought it?
So a shocking start with the Russians and the Brits neck and neck. But the Raptors are making a comeback. They're overtaking everyone. Whoa, what a comeback!
Americans are going like the clappers. Look at that. That is incredible.
The Russian vehicle is powering away, but they're drifting slightly off course, and the Brits are snatching second place. Towards the first marker,
Americans, you guys are just flying.
the Americans are getting a blistering 45 miles an hour from their pile of junk.
Americans, I don't know what happened at the beginning, but now they're just flooring it. I mean, they're miles in the lead.
Bulldogs driver Tim has his foot to the floor, but their smaller engine is simply no match for the Americans' superior horsepower.
Come on, Russians!
The Russian Bears machine is lagging behind. Their delicate little three-wheeler is having trouble carving its way through the salt crust.
The Raptors' monster V8 is in a league of its own, storming down the home stretch. The Bulldogs are battling away in second place, with the Bears struggling to bring up the rear.
The prize for aesthetics goes to the bathtub of the desert, definitely for the Russians.
A bathtub, maybe, but a bathtub going 20 miles an hour. Now the American Raptors have the checkered flag in their sights.
Here they come to the finish.
So a resounding victory for the American Raptors. Look at that thing go!
Go Brits!
The race for runner-up is still on. Are the Brits going to make it?
Come on, you Russians!
But what's up with the Russians? 30 seconds after the British Bulldogs took the checkered flag, the Russians are still out there.
Across the finish line. That's some boat.
The good news is they're in one piece.
So the Raptors are victorious.
But you really caught me out because I was sitting over there. And I had to wave the flag, and I went, oh my God, they're coming! And I had just had time to run and get there. You were coming so fast. Did you? Oh, I threw my coffee on the floor. I just had to go. I mean, I thought, my God, what's happening? You know, when you didn't, your start was really slow, and you're way behind then. And the other two shot off so fast.
I couldn't get it. It popped out of first gear, and I couldn't get it back in.
It was doing a whole 25 mile an hour most of the way.
25 miles an hour. We cracked up to about 27.
Wow.
When we're coming under the finish.
She's an old lady. She should be in retirement.
Aw, how did it feel to drive a bathtub through a desert?
Jacuzzi. Jacuzzi inside. So, triumphant in Mega Race 1 are the American Raptors with a maximum 3 points.
You betcha.
Second place goes to the British Bulldogs, so they take home a worthy 2 mega points.
Excellent.
And coming in a valiant third, the Russian Bears earn just the 1 point. You guys are feeling good?
Feeling great.
Okay, ready for the second leg?
Yeah.
Okay, American Raptors are in the lead. They blasted ahead, but we've got 2 legs to go, so anything can happen. And we've got those coming up after the break. All right. Robert, what's the problem?
Oh, just this rock's right in the wrong place because the trucks are going to come over here. I don't know what we're going to do.
Right. Well, let me give it a shot.
Oh, great. Yeah, can you... Oh, yeah? Right, OK, now let's put it just over here on the top of that one. That looked really good. Actually, no, hang on. No, what about over there? Let's see if it was there. Oh, I don't know, though. I don't know, maybe... No, let's try it over here. Tyler, come on!
Stage 2 of our megathlon is the rock crawl. The teams will take it in turns to tackle the fiendish course we've set. It starts out relatively gentle, but as they go on, the rocks get bigger and bigger. And the race culminates in this gargantuan gully. The teams will race one at a time against the clock. The fastest time will score maximum points.
Heading towards the cactus.
You're in second
To
gear,
set our teams on the right track, we've let them ramble round the course.
Down.
Now they know what they're in for, they've 1 hour of tinkering time to tailor their machines to their rocky task.
The American Raptors are letting air from their tires to give them rock-worthy grip. They're also dumping those unnecessary shocks and sway bars to make their chassis super flexible.
Getting lighter. Lighter's faster, right?
But Raptor racer Joe has uncovered a serious problem.
Looks like the frame's cracked over here. Oh, man.
How's the tinkering coming?
Well, we got a little problem right here. The steering box about ready to fall off of it.
So what do we do to get this problem fixed?
First thing we're going to do is we're going to tighten these bolts, and then we're going to maybe weld the steering box right to the frame and go after it.
British Bulldog Tim is making some precision adjustments.
I'll say so, for a big lad, you hit like a girl.
He's widening the wheel arches to reduce the chance of their wheels rubbing on the bumpier bits of the course.
We've actually got less clearance now.
What's going to be the hardest bit for you?
The long wheelbase, when you're going into a gully, we'll have problems there.
That last gully before the end is going to be the trickiest bit for us.
Right.
But we brought the ramps just in case we get stuck.
So the plan is not to lay them down unless you really have to?
No.
Yeah, total last resort. Last resort recovery. Yeah, just in case we end up stuck in between 2 rocks.
The Russian Bears are the only team who don't need to do anything to their truly complete design.
So, Max, I can see that you're doing a lot of very special technical last-minute adjustments to the machine.
Yeah.
The star clearly is very important.
Yeah, we'll paint a corner.
You've painted here? That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Because all the other teams are sort of, it seems like they're rebuilding their machines, but clearly you've done all the work beforehand, prepared.
Because it's the only vehicle which has all necessary on board.
I know.
So we have a time for rest.
Because I should see your expert. Well, I don't want to speak too loudly because I don't want to wake him up.
Yeah.
But he's obviously very tense.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I've got one more thing to say. Udachi.
Udachi.
Tinkering over, and time for Judge Tony to cast an expert eye over the vehicles.
So, Tony, stage 2, the rock crawl. What on earth is going to happen to this?
Boy, this is incredible. It held up remarkably well after that first race.
Didn't it?
Oh, it sure did. One of these vehicles that I think is ahead of its time.
When they hit the first difficult bit of rocks, what's your prediction?
I think it'll depend on the skill of the driver. I think it'll actually do remarkably well, much better than I thought after looking at the course.
So the British Bulldog Beauty, how many points do you reckon for this?
It'll be a strong second place, I believe, yeah.
Right. You don't think it's going to come first, though?
Just because of the low ground clearance, I really think that's going to cause them some problems in this and the tires. I think those are the 2 big disadvantages.
The American Brute.
Here it is.
In all its glory. Now, they've been doing quite a lot of fiddling around. Taking air out of their tyres, what does that do?
Well, what it does, it gives you a bigger footprint, And so you'll get better mobility in soft soil and going up these type of slopes. So that's actually a great idea.
So it's basically more grip.
More grip.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
So with all that taken into consideration,
I think they could come up out on top on this one.
really? So
Yeah.
first for the Americans and joint second for the British.
I believe that's how I'd see it right now, yes.
Let's race.
Okay.
Our curving rock course gets tougher the further they get. It's marked out by pairs of flags called gates. Our teams have to navigate through 3 gates and round a barrel. There's a 20-second time penalty every time our teams touch a flag. It's one team at a time around the course. And first up are the American Raptors, the winners of the previous leg. A fast time round this course will keep them in the lead.
Gentlemen, start your engines and go on the horn.
The Raptors are off to what looks like a great start towards the first pair of marker flags. Their vehicle is the most powerful, but it's also the widest. If they don't line themselves up right at the second marker, they'll collect a bunch of time penalties.
Easy, easy.
Cathy to Roberts.
The Americans have scored 1 time penalty for touching gate number 2.
Okay, back up this way.
And as I spoke, a second penalty for touching gate number 3. It's very tight between those flags.
40 seconds.
For 40 seconds they've had added onto their time so far.
That's 2:20 up to now-ish.
Drive over the top.
And there's a very tight corner coming up.
Okay, they have to get through this. They have to turn around this barrel. Oh, they got it through. Okay.
Well done, well
there they
done.
The Raptors are carefully up to the next gate.
Flash through. Oh. Okay, and they hit it again, so there's another one.
That is now 60 seconds in penalties.
So it's not been precision driving so far, and now comes the tricky hill climb.
Fancy move. Oh my God.
That was some fantastic horsepower.
The brute horsepower just got them up there. Then the ground clears, they just made it.
The Raptors' vehicle is a dream machine on the hill climb, but there's the steep gully yet to come. After getting up that really tough hill, they're looking very good.
Nice driving. How was that?
Oh, it was a blast. Can I go again?
Big wheels, big car.
Yeah.
Pure American.
So apart from the time penalties, a model lap.
Time for the American Raptors was 4:25.03.
But then with 60 seconds in penalties, it goes to
5:25.
See if you can top that, why don't you?
What do you reckon to that then?
Not bad, but I reckon we can do better.
You think you can do better?
Yeah.
So let's see what the Bulldogs can really do. Time to beat 5 minutes and 25 seconds. Well, the Brits are off to a flying start, way faster than the Americans so far. And through those tricky gates with no trouble.
The British Bulldogs are just flying right now. Safely through another marker, they're going great guns. Now for that tricky corner.
Oh, they hit the barrel.
So they've got 1 penalty, 20 seconds.
They're about to hit one of their teammates if they're not careful.
It's a remarkably fast time up to the 4th marker, and the Bulldogs are in the lead. Will they ease up for the hill climb?
He's digging deep. He's digging deep.
Oh, they're stuck on that rock.
It's what the Bulldogs prayed would never happen. Now to reveal their secret weapon.
What is the position with using tools to help the vehicle get out of a jam?
The ladders were always part of their team plan, so I think it's legitimate.
At the moment, there's no immediate sign of anything remotely resembling success.
Are you with 2 other rather happy-looking teams at the moment?
I've seen more depressed-looking teams.
Useless ramps abandoned. Tim is getting them unstuck with a bit of good old-fashioned brute force. They're still in with a chance.
With such low ground clearance, they're stuck good and proper.
Oh, don't stand there. Oh, my God.
Watch the tyres.
But it's not like the Bulldogs to let their vehicle get the better of them. They'll get that beast off those rocks, dead or alive.
The trouble is, it looks like they're in danger of wrecking the vehicle for the next leg.
They got to think. They got to think about this.
Bring him back.
Russian bear Rene cannot believe the insanity of his rivals. But that's superb driving from the team captain, Doc. He's throwing that vehicle around the course, really punishing it. It's going to be a close finish.
The Bulldogs took a little longer to get round the course, but picked up fewer time penalties. It's all in the balance.
Okay, here is the time. 5 minutes and 26 seconds. The British Bulldogs incurred 2 20-second penalties, which brings their total time to 6 minutes and 6 seconds. Well done, gents.
Pretty darn good.
Well done.
Well done, mate.
Finally, the Bears. They must do well on this section if they're to remain serious contenders.
Russian Bears, Vigatovi!
Gotowe.
Zawodicie motory!
Well, it's a very slow start, but slow and steady could win this race.
That's extraordinary. What do you think that's chain drive?
It's chain drive, yes.
That's precision driving through the flags. No time penalty so far. Of course, their vehicle is the narrowest.
Okay, went through the second. Now they're going through the third one. No penalties.
2 gates, no penalties. 3 gates, no penalties.
Okay, now they're going to go around the all-important turn.
They're steadily round the tricky bend. And as the only team with no time penalties, the Russian Bears are in first place.
They're looking really good. How's that time looking?
Not
look great.
Wait a minute.
Fantastic.
Their carefully does it strategy has paid off so far, but the hill climb separates the men from the boys.
Tyler to Cathy and Robert. Bad news for the Russian Bears.
The chain has come off.
Oh, no.
That's a bummer. Hopefully he didn't break the chain. If they can just get it back
Can
on.
they get it back on?
Max is underneath it, bench pressing it right now. He's slowly moving it forward.
I will carry it on my shoulders.
So what kind of time are we looking at here for the Russian Bears?
About 4.5 minutes so far.
Ooh, so it's not looking good for a victory here,
Nah, but they need to at least complete to get a point.
Yeah.
5 minutes in, and the chain is back on.
I believe we are back on the road.
Winning now looks out of the question, but are the Bears going to take it easy or go for it and risk trashing their vehicle? Which will be the Russian way? Oh, no, they are coming up.
No, they can't be coming up.
This is a mistake.
Yes.
The Bears have stopped again, and this time it looks terminal.
Broken. I'm afraid it's the broken word and the chain word.
Right.
We'll offer him a push.
Cathy, there has been a very, very sincere offer here. The guys really want to do it.
To push them around the rest of the course. How do you feel about that?
Not only do the Russians politely refuse that offer,
They also point out that the chain that broke was an American chain.
It's all over for the Russian Bears. So let's go to the points. In first place, once again, are the Raptors. A very close second place goes to the Bulldogs. And in third place are the dejected Bears, who failed to complete and get no points at all.
Well, after that extraordinary race over the rocks, it's the end of an action-packed day. But with one race to go, there's still everything to play for. Join us after the break. The third and final stage of our mega triathlon is the water, and we've saved the best till last as we're asking our teams to race on a grueling 1-mile course over our lake.
The course is designed to test both their speed and manoeuvrability. They'll start from the shore, plunge into the water, and chart a swerving course through our markers. Then it's a clamber back onto land and the checkered flag.
First team home scores maximum points, and at the end of it all, we'll know who are the mega champions of the world.
As usual, there's 1 hour's team tinkering to allow for the oh-so-tricky conversion from a land-loving beast to an amphibious monster.
This was always going to be tricky for the Raptors. Their boxy barrel buoyancy goes on smoothly enough, but their prop and rudder are the stuff of nightmares.
You're not worried about the rudder then, because I've never seen a rudder behind a propulsion unit with a great big block in the way. It'll be an interesting experiment.
It's not typical.
You may catch on. You may find that supertankers start using that.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
We might have hit on something here.
Well, good luck, guys.
All right.
Thank you. Later on.
For the Bulldogs, it's on with their beast of a propulsion unit.
Well, that's it. That's it.
Then on goes Sergeant Lee's mammoth pontoons, and time for the dedications.
Tim, what's your wife called?
Michelle.
Michelle?
Yeah.
They would have to have the longest name in NATO, wouldn't they?
And last but not least, a snorkel for their engine.
So as long as it doesn't get above that chimney...
I'll be a bit worried because I'm driving in, so if the water's coming up over the top of there, I want a snorkel as well, and an aqualung.
We might be providing those. It's looking fantastic. So confidence levels?
Confidence is through the roof on
Is
this
it?
one.
Really?
Our theory is the other 2 rounds have gone as anticipated. So if this goes as anticipated, we've got it.
Unlike their rivals, the Russian Bears are taking things off rather than putting them on. And that's all they need to do. So the carefree Bears once again chill out.
Russian Bears, you guys are far too relaxed for a team that had so much trouble yesterday. What's going on?
Yeah, we have already checked everything. Each link of a chain and each hole in the boat.
How are you going to steer this thing?
Yes, we have the same steering as we use in the ground.
So the actual front wheel from the motorbike is actually going to be your rudder as well?
Yes, that's the idea. And I think the steering will be pretty good in water.
So I wish you all the best of luck. Hands in here, hands in here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Russian Bears, let's go get them.
Tinkering time before the final race is over, and the scores look like this. Currently holding first position are the Raptors. Biting at their heels are the British Bulldogs, and holding up the rear are the brave Russian Bears. Let's let our judge have his final say on the American Raptors machine.
So where do you reckon this vehicle's going to finish in this race?
I don't know that it'll start.
All right, well, on that note, let's go and check out the British. So, the British Bulldogs.
Here it is.
What do you reckon to this one?
Oh boy, they've done a few things to it. They have a nice outboard motor, probably 50, 60 horsepower. They really, I believe, have optimized their vehicle for this race.
Do you think this is a winning machine for
Absolutely,
this race?
I really do. They've got it on this one.
Now that's interesting, because if, as you say, the Americans don't actually get started, but the Brits do, they'll win the whole thing.
Yes, they will.
So it's a very tense race.
It is.
So last, but definitely not least, the only true amphibious machine of the 3.
This really is. This is truly amphibious.
So what do you reckon? I mean, I think everyone kind of wants to see this one win.
Depending on how this will finish at least second.
Right.
Definitely.
So you think this will definitely beat the American machine?
Oh yes.
Without question.
Without question.
Can we hold you on that one?
Yes, you can.
Now the final challenge. It's going to be head-to-head on the water to decide who will be Mega Wars champions of the world.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
The British Bulldogs are the first to take the plunge. Hot on their tail are the American Raptors.
The Americans are in.
But what's happening to the Bears boat? That propeller is next to useless. They're going to have to find some alternative. The Bulldogs are preparing their outboard for battle action. But it's not plain sailing.
What I can't understand is that outboard is going like the clapper.
It is, but it's just not moving. There must be too much resistance to that barge style.
The American ones is going very good, isn't it? It's obviously not quite deep enough because of all that spray coming up, but it's still pushing along enough.
So, it's neck and neck for the Raptors and the Bulldogs, and the Russian Bears are putting Plan B into action, saving their engine from overheating and turning to paddle power.
The Russians are just sitting still. But they're very happy.
But they're floating.
Yeah, they're floating very well, actually. They're floating higher than I thought they would do.
Hey, go on!
Come on, you guys!
Stroke, 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 stroke.
While the Brits' outboard is a wet fuse beneath that rooster tail of white water, the Raptors' fan-based propeller is actually working. They're in first place.
Look at the wash coming off this propeller of the Americans, but it's doing something, whereas the outboard motor, I don't know what's going on, but there's a hell of a lot of smoke and not a lot of movement.
Time for Bulldog Doc to take the plunge for some drastic action.
I bet they're changing the angle on the boat.
That maybe it's not hooked right down.
It can't be, otherwise they should have been far ahead.
Fight the pin! Fight the pin!
Turn it over! Turn it over! Let go! Let go! Let go!
The British Bulldogs are going nowhere, and the Raptors are pulling away.
We've lost the engine.
The damn thing's burning up because there's no goddamn fan on it.
What's going on, Americans?
We're overheating because we don't have no fan anymore.
Tim, get on the drum and paddle!
All teams are now reduced to paddle power, which gives the Russian Bears a huge advantage because their vehicle is by far the lightest.
If the Russians start paddling like mad, they're going to win. Come on, you Russian Bears! Stroke, 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 stroke.
The Bulldogs are still floundering with the engine that was meant to propel them to victory, and the Russian Bears are paddling right past them.
Well, at the moment, this very noisy race has now become a very peaceful afternoon on the lake.
In fact, no engines are running.
There are no engines running at all.
Resorted to paddling.
The only team that are actually in a boat are the Russians.
Go Russian Bears!
So, in the battle of the paddles, it's the Raptors in the lead, chased by the Bears, with the Bulldogs bringing up the rear.
Ah, now the Brits have started again.
Seems the Bulldogs aren't giving up that easily. They've abandoned their spluttering outboard in favor of running their main engine, which is turning their wheels like a paddle steamer.
Tim, give it some. Right, come on, we got some catching up to do.
We can do this! We can do it!
Go Brits! They're moving, but they've got a bit of a way to catch up.
The fight for first place is heating up.
Look at the Russians, they're catching up. Look at this! Who would have thought such
American Raptors! Oh!
For the first time in the mega triathlon, the Russian Bears are decidedly in the lead.
The Americans, I don't think, have moved in the last 10 minutes.
That big barge they have. Now they're wishing they didn't have that big engine in there. Look at the British are making a strong comeback.
They are catching up very, very fast.
The Bulldogs are fighting hard under pressure, past the Raptors and into second place. Now the Army lads set their sights on the Russians.
We can take them as well!
I'm wondering whether the Russians will suddenly see a panic of
I think they're trying to pick the pace up a little bit, actually.
The British Bulldogs are closing the gap and have first place and a crucial 3 points in their grasp. Their closest rivals for the Mega Wars title, the Raptors, are languishing in last place.
They're hammered. They're trying to push a major big barge through the water, and it's not going to happen for them.
If it's all over for the American Raptors, the British Bulldogs could become Junkyard champions of the world. On the final furlong of the final challenge, here's how it looks. The Russian Bears have paddled their way into the lead. In second place, but catching up fast, are the British Bulldogs, the only team with engine power. They're using their wheels like a paddle steamer. And rowing quite some way behind are the dejected American Raptors. There's only 200 yards to shore.
Get out now! It's on fire! We've got a fire!
Robert to Cathy, do I see smoke coming out of the British engine?
Yes, Robert, you do.
Oh, what a shame they blew their engine out.
Undeterred by a smoking engine, the Army boys are giving it everything they've got. They must snatch first place if they want to be mega champions. But the Russians are hanging on to the lead. Come on, Russian Bears, keep it up, boys, keep it up, keep paddling.
Russian Bears!
Come on, Bears, you're almost there.
Come on!
You're almost there.
Come on!
Oh, they've hit the side. Now we'll see, now we'll see.
They've saved that engine for this moment. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? For the first time in Mega history, the Russian Bears win, and in style.
The Russian Bears have won! Wonderful!
Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Wonderful! Great where you made it! So wonderful!
Good job, you guys. Good job. It's a well-deserved victory for the Bears, but it's denied the Bulldogs the championship. Now, all the Raptors have to do to win the title is finish.
Come on! Come on!
The Bulldogs are playing for national pride.
Get out and push! Push it! Can we push it?
The British Bulldogs are out of their machine. They're starting the long push to the finish line from the water. Come on, Bulldogs!
Push! Push!
Come on, Bulldogs!
The brave Brits have definitely got second, whatever happens, but how they're going to get out of the water is a mystery.
Come on, keep going! Come on, hurry up!
The Americans are definitely catching up. This is really getting ugly.
Lee's not having much luck with that engine, but it doesn't stop Tim from trying to push over 1 ton of it on his own.
Come on, Bulldogs.
Oh, it's so typical, isn't it?
The Raptors are on them. It's all down to who can get their soaked engine fired up first.
Put it in first gear, low range.
Come on!
The Raptors have done it, and the Bulldogs cannot believe their luck.
Good job.
But the British Army boys are going to get that vehicle across the line, whatever it takes.
1, 2, 3!
Come on, Bulldogs!
Yes, you can do it.
Try it once more, Doc, on the pedal.
Yeah, you're the best!
Well done, mate. Unbelievable effort.
You made it!
I hate this thing. I hate this thing.
What went on? What happened with the outboard? It just comes.
We think it wasn't low enough in the water. To be quite honest, we thought we wouldn't have had enough buoyancy. In all honesty, we probably had a bit
Too much. Yeah, because you were sitting really high in the
Really
water,
high, yeah.
which meant that paddling was doubly hard work. Yeah.
There isn't a word to explain how sick I feel about this. It goes against British pride.
Take me through the race, you guys, how it went for you. I mean, obviously it started well.
It went like this.
The oddest sensation that came over me. I'm going to drive a car into a lake. It's kind of like driving off a cliff.
Yeah.
Was it awful to watch from the land?
Oh, it was. They took out the pedals and tried to pedal, and I thought, oh no, they never have a chance again. And suddenly, one of them catched up fire, the other one died, the other engine, and I thought, oh, they do pretty good.
The Russian Bears may be czars of the water, but it's not enough to crown them mega champions of the world.
After an incredible effort and an unbelievable surprise ending, come up, you Russian Bears!
So it's third place for the Russian Bears, who travelled over 6,000 miles to battle for the Mega Wars trophy. Woefully underpowered on the salt flats, they just about made it across the finish line. Running aground on the rocks, but beautifully adapted to life on the waves, the Bears finish with 4 points.
And proving that British pride is still intact, the British Bulldogs!
The doggedly determined British Army boys take second place. They showed us the true meaning of teamwork. Strong contenders in the speed race. Determined to beat those boulders or bust. It was the water which dampened their chances. But for the tenacious Bulldogs, a fantastic 5 points.
And the undisputed champions, the mega champions of the world, the American Raptors!
The rampaging Raptors designed fighter planes for Lockheed Martin, and they battled to build the strongest, fastest, mother of all machines. Flying across the salt flat,
Bumping over the boulders and paddling through the water, they brought home an
awesome 8 points. The American Raptors, Mega Wars champions of the world.
If you like this TLC show, you can own it on video. Call this number and get your own high-quality VHS tape of the episode.